Hello and welcome to the module on funding instruments. These modules are part of a wider user uptake strategy from the European Commission. One of the aims of this strategy is to inform about funding opportunities for research projects as well as startups, scale-ups or larger companies that incorporate Copernicus data and services. Academia, research institutes and companies have an important role to play in order to maximize the benefits of Copernicus. In the private sector, for example, the number of Earth observation companies has already doubled over the last 7 years, the majority of which are micro companies. A vast array of funding instruments is available, however. Every one of those has its specific characteristics, and naturally not every funding instrument is suited for every organization or activity. Firstly, the size of your organization matters. Young startups have different needs than large research consortia, for example, both in the timing or the volume of the required funding. Secondly, the results that are expected by different funding instruments differ, and you should choose wisely depending on your activity. Is the expected result groundbreaking research or fast-growing financial returns? Lastly, the phase of development or maturity of your organization determine which funding instruments you are most likely eligible for. An investor is unlikely to provide an entrepreneur with nothing more than an idea or concept with large sums of capital. In short, it is essential that you do your homework and that you identify the instruments best suited to your project or company, as it is the only way to increase your chances of being successful. In this module, we will discuss both public and private funding instruments available. The EU institutions have developed a number of funding instruments tailored to research, startups and scale-ups. Similarly, on the private market, a number of instruments are available. Some of those instruments have dedicated action lines to Copernicus or at least space applications, while others do not, but they could nevertheless be applicable. As many instruments exist, you may feel a bit at loss at first. Most instruments, however, fit into 3 basic categories, namely grants, equity or debt. The first one, grants, are funds provided to execute certain tasks described in a grant proposal which are to the benefit of the recipient and the society at large. The grant providers are often public institutions or agencies. The second category, equity, denominates the instruments where in return for funding or other support, equity or shares in the company are given in return. The investor in this case bets on the company to be successful in the future and to generate a significant financial return as a reward for the risk assumed. The last category, debt, are instruments such as business loans, where in return for the lent amount or principal, an interest is paid to the lender. To help startups, scale-ups, academia or research institutes with gathering funding, the European Commission developed fact sheets, available on the copernicus.eu website, that help navigate the financial opportunities available. You will not need to read through hundreds of pages of documentation. This is your shortcut to understanding the available financing options and how to apply for them. Moreover, this material is tailored to the Copernicus ecosystem and highlights the relevant criteria such as type of funding, development stage, need for partnering, or need for additional support. The European Commission wants to make sure that anyone wishing to take advantage of the full, free and open Copernicus Sentinel data and services will have all the tools they need. Once you have made a self-assessment of the key characteristics your company or research project has, you can start investigating which instrument would suit you best. Let's take a deeper look at the available instruments, and we will start with those that are provided by public institutions or agencies. The first instrument we will discuss is the flagship research and innovation program of the European Union called Horizon 2020. It makes available funds for R&D activities called Research and Innovation Actions, funded at 100%, as well as closer to market activities called Innovation Actions, funded at 70%. This program has dedicated topics relevant for Copernicus actors such as Earth observation, environment monitoring, climate change, security, and so on. A key component of this instrument is that you have to form a consortium to execute the tasks in your grant proposal. The projects last typically 2 to 3 years and receive on average 2 to 5 million euro per project. On the participants portal of Horizon 2020, you can find a lot of resources that will help you write a successful proposal. We will discuss a few other instruments that are also part of the Horizon 2020 program. The European Union has developed an exciting instrument dedicated to supporting SMEs to grow innovative projects, which is called the SME instrument. The support provided depends on the maturity level of your business concept. The first stage of the journey supports those who want to take an idea to a concept, and it finances the creation of a technical and commercial feasibility assessment, including a business plan. Phase 1, as it's called, covers 70% of the eligible costs, up to 50,000 euro as a lump sum, and it lasts typically for 6 months. The second phase of the program targets those that wish to move from a concept to market maturity, and it finances the implementation on an innovation project. The EU contributes typically 70%, up to 2.5 million euro, and the projects last 1 to 2 years. It is important to note that coaching is available in both phases. Lastly, the third phase is dedicated to commercialization and provides no funding but business coaching, training, mentorship, and support to access to finance. Another specific Horizon 2020 measure with a strong industry focus is the Fast Track to Innovation pilot for close-to-market innovation activities in any area of technology or application. Substantial industry involvement is required in the projects to ensure that the products, processes, or services are commercialized within 3 years after the beginning of the FTI project. Applicants must form a consortium of 3 to 5 partners, and it should be noted that first-time industry applicants, startups or scale-ups are particularly welcome. The EU contribution is up to 70% for SMEs, and the projects have typically a budget of 1 to 2 million euro. The Horizon 2020 prizes are a bit the odd one out. The challenge, or inducement prizes as they are called, offer a monetary reward only to the one who most effectively meets a defined challenge in a variety of topics. These topics target important societal issues such as climate change or medicine. For example, one of the prizes will reward the most affordable, sustainable, and innovative material solution for clean air. The conditions to participate can vary, but are typically open to all legal entities. Challenges that directly relate to Earth observation may be launched in the future. An instrument that is specifically designed for R&D performing SMEs is Eurostars, a joint program between Eureka and the European Commission, co-funded by National Budget and Horizon 2020. Innovative projects are supported that will be commercialized within 2 years of project completion. Any technological area can be addressed, as long as it has a civilian purpose. Like other research programs, a consortium must be formed, but in addition, the lead partner must be an R&D performing SME. As national funding rules and procedures apply, it is best to contact the national project coordinators, which are listed on the Eurostars website. While you may not be able to apply directly for the COSME Loan Guarantee Facility or the Equity Facility for Growth, it is important to know that the European Union facilitates access to guarantees, loans, and equity capital through selected financial intermediaries. These intermediaries are, for example, local banks or investment funds, each of which set the specific conditions to participate themselves. Therefore, startups and scale-ups should contact these finance partners directly, and the list is provided on the website. A bit similar to the previous instrument, the European Investment Bank, or EIB, lends money at low rates to local partner banks to subsequently lend them to SMEs in Europe. The local bank matches the funds provided by the EIB and also sets the specific conditions in terms of size, duration, and structure of the loan. A list of these financial intermediaries can be found on the website. Within the framework of the European Fund for Strategic Investments, or EFSI, also project loans above 25 million euro are provided by the EIB for economically and technically viable projects which have reached a certain maturity. EFSI focuses on key sectors such as strategic infrastructure, renewable energy, among others. To stimulate innovative products and services, the European Union also supports pan-European consortia or public procurers to undertake so-called innovation procurement. Pre-commercial procurement supports the procurement of R&D services in response to concrete public sector needs. The second instrument, public procurement of innovative solutions, enables public procurers to act as early adopters of innovative solutions that are not available yet on a large scale, on a commercial basis. Specific calls for Earth observation and Copernicus are available, and to benefit from these opportunities, calls published by the national procurers should be monitored. The last public instrument that we will discuss is the European Space Agency's Artist 20 program or Kickstart activity. The program funds feasibility studies and demonstrations of user-driven applications using at least two different space assets, for example, Earth observation and GNSS. The program has both tenders and calls for proposals, which apply different funding rates. Important to note, however, is that the consortium applying should include at least one service provider. We have discussed now the main European public funding instruments, and we will continue with the instruments available on the private market, which are mostly targeting startups and scale-ups. The first funding source we will discuss are business angels. Business angels are private individuals with disposable income or wealth that provide seed capital to young startups in return for shares. It is really important to understand that because of the risk of investing in startups, these young businesses must have the potential for generating high rates of return to the investor in the future. Angels are individuals and can be most easily found through business angel networks or startup events. Angels are touted to be smart capital, as they often also bring their business experience and network. Space and space applications are increasingly receiving attention of angels in the recent years. Equity crowdfunding is a relatively new instrument and similarly well suited for startups seeking seed or early stage investment. A pitch of your business will be published on an online platform in order to acquire the necessary capital from investors of the general public, or as they say, the crowd, in return for shares. Smaller, but many commitments of investors will be pooled, and only if your target investment size is reached on the platform, your crowdfunding campaign will receive the pooled investment. As such, your campaign or pitch needs to be very attractive in order to quickly capture the imagination of a larger number of investors. In case of success, a legal due diligence will be typically concluded before the actual investment can take place. Recently, crowdfunding platforms dedicated to the space sector are being or have been launched. After a seed investment in your startup, you will often need more sizable amounts of capital to further establish your business. Venture capital, or VC, refers to investment funds that provide capital to early stage startups, again in return for equity. VCs are professional investors, and considering the risk they take on by investing in your startup, your business will need to have a high potential by addressing a significant market and by potentially generating substantial return on investment in the future. Note that the goal of a VC is to sell or exit their portfolio company within a few years after the investment is made. This funding source is very attractive for startups, but also very competitive. So it's important to have a sound business model addressing real needs of your customers. While you can try your luck with the general VCs, focused funds dedicated to the space or aerospace sector are being launched or have been launched recently. Scale-ups and some startups may also benefit from business loans, where in return for the received capital, or as they call it, principal, interest amounts are due to the lender. which are, for example, commercial banks or independent business loan providers. Debt financing does not require any equity to be given in return. Instead, loans are given on the basis of assets and collateral. Only more mature SMEs with a solid financial history and sound financial plan are likely to benefit from debt financing, as they are deemed to have a lower risk profile for the tender. Crowdlending is an online alternative option to obtain business loans, where the general public or the crowd combines resources to provide a loan to a company jointly. Like equity crowdfunding, a campaign works on the all or nothing principle, where the amount to be lent is only given to the business if the target amount for the loan is obtained from the individual lenders on the crowdfunding platform. This funding source is more suited for more established SMEs with a sound financial base. Other support instruments exist for startups that, aside from a small financial investment or incentive, offer a unique opportunity for the development of your business. One of such instruments are business incubators, where several startups are located under one roof and enjoy the advice from startups, mentors, and experts, who provide guidance on technical and business matters and can also help with establishing contacts. An office and office facilities are provided for very competitive fees, in addition to often a financial incentive, making it easier for you to start your business. An increasing number of incubators dedicated to space or space applications exists, most notably the network of the European Space Agency's business incubation centers. Accelerators are very intensive but shorter programs, typically lasting between 3 to 6 months and take place in one location. Batches or cohorts of startups participate in the program and are often all active around a specific team. The accelerator aims to advance a startup rapidly from concept stage to having a business model or prototype ready for pitching to investors during a demo day at the end of the program. In exchange for the participation to the program and a small financial investment, shares are often given in return. Some acceleration programs are virtual, such as the European Commission's own Copernicus accelerator, which currently has the participation of 40 mentees. Last but not least, competitions offer the opportunity to showcase your talent, idea, or business within the sector. While competition winners are often provided with monetary or non-monetary prizes, they are also a solid networking tool and a marketing and publicity instrument for your idea. As with any of the instruments discussed today, your chance of success increases with the effort spent on your application. Several relevant competitions exist, but one is dedicated specifically to Copernicus, namely the Copernicus Masters. This was a brief overview of funding instruments available at European level. Many more exist at national or regional level. As mentioned before, the European Commission has made available fact sheets discussing these instruments in more depth on the copernicus.eu website. They also refer to the many supporting platforms and networks that we did not discuss today, such as the Enterprise Europe Network, the Horizon 2020 National Contact Points, or the European Investment Advisory Hub. The Copernicus team wishes you the best of luck in obtaining the funding you require to realize your ideas or research or to further your business to success.